What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome to Leafs Digest. The season is coming up here. Media Day has taken place. We've got guys taking informal skates. The rookie tournament is about to go underway in the upcoming weeks here. We're moments away from the first preseason game, it feels like, against the Montreal Canadiens. It's getting exciting in Leafland. There's a lot of news, rumors coming out, a lot of speculation in terms of what lines could be. And aside from the obvious ones of will Mikheyev get into the top six, which line will Nick Ritchie slot into, can Nick Robertson get into this lineup? There's one question that I've kind of been thinking about lately, and I wanted to get on here and talk to Josh about this, and it's that should we keep Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner together? And now, just to preface this, the big reasons that I've actually been considering this is it took 3.5 years for Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews to continue or to get a chance to play a regular shift together. And then once they did, the chemistry was obviously there. These two guys enjoy playing together on even just on the same team, let alone the same line. But these are both guys who were able to have success on different lines, and they were able to generate success for the players around them on those lines. So is it time that we give an opportunity for these two players to go back to playing with other guys and see what kind of things this Leafs team can generate, or what kind of things the other players around them can generate from this separation?
I think at this point, the Leafs probably aren't against it, but in my point of view, I don't think it's something that we're dying to try. I think it's still a dynamic that's alive and well. It's going to be okay, but I don't know when it comes down to how the lineup's going to shake out in the first stretch of the season when you might not have Matthews back. If you do see Nylander developing some natural chemistry again, like he had with Johnny T, then I don't know. Then that could be something that they weigh as a little bit, but I still think they're going to look to go back to it because the way the forward lineup is at the moment, it's super deep, especially in your top six, and you didn't have John Tavares in the playoffs where everything went south. Again, yeah. I don't want to excuse the team. They blew that up. But to the same note, if you have him there, then Danault shutting down Carey Price, I got to mention in that same breath, yeah. But shutting down the top line, Marner and Matthews. I feel like if you have Johnny T there scoring goals, producing on the second line, demanding a bit more attention, maybe you do punch through, and maybe you don't feel as shaken up after that first game that you ended up losing. So I don't know. I think we are a little bit closer. I know we basically rag on this team a ton, but they are close. And I think that dynamic was really good just despite that one, 4-game stretch. The 4-game stretch, very critical, but I'm not ready to write them off as a dynamic. I still think you want to go back to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you that if Tavares is there, this is a different series against the Habs. I think they win that one. It's hard to give them that excuse, especially considering they were up 3-1 in the series, and it's hard to be like, oh yeah, whatever. If Tavares is there, blah blah blah. Because other teams had injuries too. Other teams had guys out, and they still move on. They still have success in the playoffs. You look at Tampa, they go on and win the cup. You have guys drop out. Alex Killorn wasn't able to play in the cup finals, and Steven Stamkos didn't really play in the year before. But I don't know. I think that the reason that it's really something that I've actually been thinking about is just because they lacked the success in the playoffs. And then when it came time to put the lines in a blender and see what we could come up with, there was no other comfortable lineup or comfortable combination that anybody could really go to see if we could get anything sparked. And now maybe it's strictly the answer to that, and we're looking too deep into this, and we don't need to change things up and see how the chemistry works with other guys. Maybe the answer to this is straight up just that Marner wasn't having a good playoffs. He was having a bad 7-10 day stretch or whatever it is, and that's the answer to this. And maybe Matthews just, he had a goal. He didn't play poorly, but he wasn't able to produce offensively. Maybe he was just having a bad stretch as well. And no matter who they played with, no matter what the circumstances were before, these guys were just going to do that no matter what. Maybe that's just the simple solution to all of this. But with Matthews not starting this year, or potentially not being able to start this season, I just think it might be a good opportunity to go and see what else these guys can do with other people. Because the thing is, you look at the years before Matthews and Marner played together, Matthews scores no matter who he's playing with. This guy had 40-goal seasons in the NHL before he even had the opportunity to play with Mitch Marner. Now, it was elevated to a different level when they played together on a consistent basis, as seen last year, where Matthews wins the Rocket Richard. Marner's one of the top point getters in the league. And I still think they should play together. Like I do agree with you that it's not time to just pull the chute on that one and say no more. But I just think it's a good opportunity here to see what they can do with other guys.
Yeah, it is a good opportunity for that, but they're calling it the last dance for a reason. I think that
Yeah.
they are going back to it, and that's what they're saying sort of to the fans. And I know that's a media narrative, but this is coming from people close to the team, people who have watched this team play and explode, but know the talent that we have. We don't want to write off the thing because of Tavares going down and creating that kind of commotion. I know it's detrimental to the team, and it legitimately swung that series. But to the same note, like we need to hold our guys accountable, and I think they're going to give it one last shot to them. And it's not a crazy assumption to think that Marner, I think particularly, could be on the trading block if they come up short again. But I think they look to go right back to it. And I think just what you mentioned there about being comfortable with different combinations. If they can go and like in the first few games this season with Matthews out and find a good groove for everyone in the top six, at least that's mental comfort to know if someone gets hurt,
Yeah.
suspended, whatever the case might be, that you
Yeah.
have some options there. But I don't think we're looking for long-term solutions there in the first 20 games. I think we already know what the top two players on the team should be looking like and playing together.
Okay, my only other question to you then would be in regards to splitting these guys up. Let's move on from 5-on-5 and just how they play together there. Would you consider moving these guys onto two different power play units?
Yeah, I would consider that. I mean, the power play was so dismal at one point there at the very critical stretch that I think that you kind of consider everything. You got such a deep talent pool on the team that you'll find scoring solutions anywhere. It's just
Mm-hmm.
about chemistry when you have the 5-on-4 situation.
I think that first power play unit also became very predictable.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. And I found they had some issues breaking out of the zone a little bit. Like
Yeah.
maybe,
Oh,
like I found Marner especially. I feel like he just gets bodied off the puck so easily. Maybe giving the puck to William Nylander a little bit more with his kind of speed. Matthews is always great at protecting the puck, but you don't want him doing everything. There's options to do it. There's options to do it, but yeah, they got to do something different, and it wasn't in time in the playoffs.
yeah. I think too. Like part of it was that second power play unit was so weak compared to the first one throughout the regular season, and just in terms of the minutes they got. Like the second power play unit performed decently well in the playoffs, considering how minimal ice time they got and how I don't even know like the way to put it, but like they didn't get to play a lot in the regular season. So then when it comes time to go into the playoffs and now they're like, oh man, the first unit isn't going. You guys need to step up here and like take over for them. It's like, okay, that's a lot of pressure on a unit that hasn't really got too much exposure out there as one of the top units. Now they are a power play unit and they should be able to score regardless, but I do think it would be an interesting one to see if maybe you move Marner even into a different position in the power play. Maybe you move him onto that side that Matthews is on, but you move him there on the second unit, and then it just gives a different look because the first unit's coming out, you know where the shot's coming from every time. The second unit, we were seeing that pretty much the same thing because it was Nylander in the Matthews spot and he was the shooter. Whereas if you can switch things around and put Marner onto that side on the second unit and maybe they split time more evenly. And one of the biggest things that I always go back to in my head is that in Pittsburgh they used to run this power play where Sidney Crosby, it was a 9-man power play unit, okay? Sidney Crosby played both units. Why can't Auston Matthews play both units here? It's 2 minutes on the power play, and if you are able to go and set up into that zone, and you can put him on both units, why would you not want your best player out there for 2 minutes where like you can just run him on two different, like if he gets an opportunity to play with four other guys, those other four guys are going to be rested that just played the first unit, and now Matthew slots into that second unit. He plays both minutes, give him his 30, 45 second, a minute long break onto the bench. Just ask a little bit more of him in that situation. It might even give him an opportunity to score some more goals. Like who knows where that comes from? But like I like that idea of having your best scorer, your best player on the ice for that extended amount of time, because it's not like the power play takes way too much energy out of you.
But he needs to take the shot. Like you even mentioned it earlier, that a lot of times when it was them out there, you knew where the shot was coming, and it's always Matthews. So there is still a lot asked of him when you're going on a power play. And
Yes.
with the kind of damage he already does 5-on-5, and then you think about what the supporting cast should be able to do with their offensive upside, like there shouldn't be issues in needing to overplay your star. And I think that you could try it out, and especially in certain circumstances. But again, that's one of those things that maybe in the short term you give it a go just to feel comfortable with the idea of it if you really need a goal down the stretch at some point. But to think about it as a routine thing, I mean, Crosby can pull off some special things, but I don't know about Matthews quite yet. Maybe it'd be worth trying, and if it does well, then maybe you do look to it at a point when you really need a goal in the playoffs next season potentially.
Well, I think the overall consensus here is that as a permanent solution, we do not split up Matthews and Marner. That is a dynamic that we continue to roll with, continue to rely on, see what they can continue to do together, and hopefully they generate more playoff success. But in the short term and in terms of just overall feel, testing things out, I think Josh and I are both open to the idea of Matthews and Marner playing on different lines at different points in the season and more situations than just a 2-minute drill where you're down by a goal late in the game and you're like, oh man, we need to mix some things up here. Let's see where we can get going. I think maybe different games provide different opportunities for guys to play in different roles, and maybe you see what Matthews and Marner can do with other guys. Maybe another guy needs a jump. Maybe Tavares isn't going that well. You switch those lines up just to see how it is, just to see if you can get guys going. Maybe Matthews sparks Nylander. Maybe he can contribute a little bit more than he's been doing if it comes down to that. But I think it's a good opportunity for us to see, especially during this regular season where we know no matter what the Leafs do in this regular season, it's not really going to matter to Leafs fans. It's what they do come April, come the first round of this playoffs, because once we get there, that's all that really matters. And I think that to this team, they know that's what matters to them too. No matter what happens in this regular season, they're not going to enjoy it as much because they know that the ultimate test of everything they've worked on is going to come in that first round of the playoffs. So I think it is a good opportunity to see how things go during this regular season. You got a full season ahead of you here. Leafs fans, this one's going to be exciting. Let us know in the comments below if you think Matthews and Marner should be split up. And then on top of that, if you do think so, what do you think these line combinations should be if they move around? Who should these guys play with? Where would they excel? What guys would benefit from getting to play with them here? Let us know in the comment section below. And Leafs fans, for more videos from us, make sure you subscribe to this channel. See you guys in the next video. Keep believing.
Signing off.